Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up towards Gothenburg once again, which as I've told you many a time is the craft beer city when it comes to Sweden these days. There's a hell of a lot of really good little craft breweries popping up there now, and of course you've got some of the more established names up there such as Brewing and things like this. But for this one we are going to go to a brewery who I've never tried anything from. So for the first time we are going to go to Island Brewing, who only started up quite recently, but they do have a little bit of a heavy metal connection as well, and if you've watched the channel before you will know that I'm a huge metal head. But today we're going to have a taste of their Simcoe Sessions, which comes in at 4.9%, and this one is a session IPA. From what I remember, this beer was released on the 1st of February 2019 as one of the kind of local releases that they do every quarter or something like this. So very curious to see how this one turns out. I've heard some really good things about this brewery, so hopefully the hype is kind of well deserved for this beer. So looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Island Brewing. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Island Brewing, and as I mentioned earlier, this brewery does have a little bit of a heavy metal connection. So Island Brewing was founded back in 2016 by Daniel Svensson, who played drums in the band In Flames until 2015, and he was joined soon after actually by Peter Ewes, who was the bassist in In Flames until 2016. So Daniel mainly works on the brewing side of things from what I understand, but he does have an education in marketing, while Peter deals with sales because he's got various connections in that kind of in that sort of sector, if you like. But he also co-owns a restaurant called 2112 in Gothenburg too, so you can find their beers in that restaurant in the city as well. But the brewery was originally found in Fjärås, which is near Kungsbacka to the south of Gothenburg, and their first beer entered Systembolaget back in 2016. But they started off with a very small 500 litre brewery, and they've recently moved to Lindome, which is up closer towards Mölndal, which is of course where Brewing started out, a little bit kind of to the northeast of Fjärås. But they've got there now a 2,000 litre brewing system, which will give them a maximum capacity of 340,000 litres of beer per year, and they'll also have the ability to brew some sour beers there as well. And they do hope that they can open up a little beer bar at the brewery as well to kind of serve the little Lindome area as well. Lindome of course is a little bit to the south of Mölndal, as I mentioned earlier, so we're talking about the south side of Gothenburg here. But really cool to come across another Gothenburg brewery. I've heard some really good things about this brewery as well, and it's cool to see that some guys out of the metal scene. Gothenburg of course was very famous for you know, it's Gothenburg doom metal and stuff like that. I remember being there, in Gothenburg melodic death metal and stuff like that was coming out there. Sweden of course, you know, all the Scandinavian countries pretty much huge metalhead countries, which is why I love them, you know, probably why I love it here so much. But yeah, really cool to come across this brewery and to see one of the bands that I actually quite enjoy. To see two of the guys from that opening up their own brewery as well is pretty awesome as well. So, and I think actually when I was in Manchester, I'm sure the guy who told me in the beer moth shop, he told me that one of the guys from In Flames had spent something like £500 or £600 on craft beer in that beer shop alone. So yeah, I do remember that, and it's, as I say, I didn't realise that he now had his own brewery. I knew that he was a bit of a craft beer nut, but I didn't know that he'd actually started up his own brewery. So it's cool how these little kind of things can happen, and you know, the world is a very small place these days. But yeah, really cool to come across this brewery, another one that I hadn't heard of actually, and it's cool to see that Gothenburg is still kind of producing new breweries. Very, very good beer city these days, and it's cool to encounter one of the kind of latest additions to the beer scene up there. I do need to get up there and explore a little bit more and try some of the different beers and stuff like this, because I know there's a hell of a lot of good breweries up there. But that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want want to learn a little bit more, do check out the brewery website, which you can find in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that as well, and that will keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery there. And of course you can check out beernews.sa as well, which is where I find a lot of the information that I use in my notes for the breweries for you. So yeah, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself then. We can get rid of the brewery notes and actually open the beer up. So as you can see with this one, it's got a really quite nice artwork on it, this one. I do like the drumsticks behind the hop flower there. I like that. That's very, very cool. But yeah, it says on the sides here, our lives as musicians have taken us around the globe a few laps, and we've tried a beer or two along the way. This is our version of what a good quality beer should taste like. A beer for everyone, signed by Daniel Svensson and Peter Everts as well. So yeah, really nicely presented that. And I like that they've put the little Swedish flag under the pant as well. I always like that when they put a little flag on the beer and say where it's from. I know that Bierbibliotek in Gothenburg also do that. Another very, very good brewery. One thing I'll also say about the artwork of this beer as well is that most of the beers that they do have a very similar style of artwork. They're just different colours and things like that. But yeah, really nicely presented, this one. It's almost a little bit like a kind of, not black metal artwork, but it's very kind of tasteful and very... it does just have that kind of heavy metal album cover sort of vibe about it. That's one of the things I always loved about my metal CDs, is that they've always got beautiful artwork on them, and this one certainly is pretty cool as well. But as I mentioned to you earlier, the Simcoe Sessions is a 4.9% session IPA, and I'm guessing by the name it's mainly Simcoe hops that are in this one. But yeah, let's get it out then, and we'll get on with the tasting then. So yeah, this one actually was brewed in Fieros, it says as well, so this one must have been brewed just before they've moved up to Lindome as well. But yeah, as you can see with this one, when we open it up, a little bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll get it out and into the glass. And I will say, as soon as you open this beer up, if you're into your craft beer at all, you can tell immediately that this is Simcoe that's in this beer. It's a lovely big passion fruity note coming out of this can as soon as you open it up. But that looks absolutely lovely. So as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely bright yellow colour, this one. It's pretty much like a kind of pineapple juice or something like this, or probably more of a mango juice colour actually, I would say. So there's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head on this one. It looks very much like a kind of New England kind of IPA, this one. So yeah, nothing overly surprising with this beer in terms of its appearance. If I put my fingers behind the glass there, you can see this one, not a lot of transparency to it. It is a nice kind of hazy colour, so in terms of its appearance, definitely more akin to a New England style IPA. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass then, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, looks very, very nice. Nothing overly surprising about this one in terms of it being an IPA. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Ooh, that smells pretty nice, I have to say. So yeah, straight away with this beer, as I mentioned, when you open this beer up, you really could smell the lovely big kind of passion fruity notes coming out of this one. There's a nice big the malt base in this one's really nice as well. It doesn't quite smell oaty and creamy as I was expecting. It smells a little bit more kind of crisp, but I do wonder if there's a little touch of Pilsner malt or something in here, which could be interesting. There's something about the aroma of this one that makes me think they might have used a little bit of Pilsner malt in there. But yeah, it smells very, very clean actually. That's one of the other things I'm noticing about this. Very, very clean smelling beer. You can smell some of that pale malty quality in there. There's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness. It's not quite a caramel, mainly more of a kind of white bready, wheaty sort of thing. And yeah, mainly a sort of white bready, wheaty kind of quality to it. And a little bit of just a biscuity sweetness, as I was mentioning. I do suspect there's a little bit of Pilsner malt in here just because of the way the aromas are coming out. Might be completely wrong on that, right enough. But yeah, it does smell really quite nice, and it smells, there's just something about the aroma in this beer that makes me think it's going to be quite crisp, to be honest with you. But it smells really, really good. On the hoppy side of things, it's got a very kind of fresh, grassy sort of quality to it, which is really nice actually. It's almost got a little bit of a lemongrassy vibe to it as well, which is quite interesting. You can pick up a little bit of a slightly spicy floral note to the beer, but there's also a really kind of juicy passion fruity note as well. You know, the Simcoe is a straight up passion fruit hop. There's a lot of people a lot of these brewers now are kind of switching from a Galaxy from the Simcoe to the Galaxy from Australia, because the Galaxy has a little bit of passion fruit to it, or quite a lot of passion fruit I should say, but also a little bit of pineapple complexity to it as well. So the Simcoe maybe is considered a little bit old school these days, but I always loved it as a hop, and I think, you know, if they've got a session IPA with a bit of Simcoe in it, it's definitely, I think this one might, to me, come across as being a little bit of a kind of nostalgia beer. I always enjoyed the Simcoe hop. But this one smells very, very inviting, and you know, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck into it. But I'm predicting a very nice, kind of crisp, refreshing Simcoe beer, this one. So let's see how we get on with this then. So this is the Simcoe Sessions from Odd Island Brewing with a little bit of an In Flames connection there. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skull. There we go. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice actually. You know, straight up I'll say, they've done a good job with this beer. So I can see why a lot of people are saying that this is a really, really nice brew. And there's a, you know, it's one of these things, there's a good bunch of beer producers up there in Gothenburg now. You know, one that comes to mind is Odd Island Brewing. Sorry, not Odd Island, Spike Brewing. Blech. Brain fart there. One that comes to mind as well is Spike Brewing, and you know, these two breweries are fairly new, and they're doing all of these different IPAs and things like that as well. You know, Beerbibliotheek always do a solid IPA. You've also got Bearded Rabbit. I've got a really nice black IPA and regular IPAs as well. You know, there's a hell of a lot of good beer producers up there doing this IPA style, and even Stigbergets, of course, are the other one that come to mind. You know, they should have been the one that come to mind first if I hadn't been having a brain fart in this video. But you know, this one certainly is not out of place. You've got a hell of a lot of you know, good quality breweries up there, and this beer certainly doesn't look out of place next to those. So that kind of shows you that it's good to have that kind of competition up there, I guess, because it's a good choice for the consumer. But it also means that the homebrewers, and one of the big reasons why Swedish beer is of such good quality these days is because there's such a big culture of homebrewing due to the strict rules from Systembolaget. And you know, it means that the quality of beer you're going to get in Sweden is very good, and this one certainly does not look out of place. So yeah, that's a really, really nice beer. I mean, one of the things is it's a session IPA. You could easily drink a few of these. I very rarely session beer anymore, because most of the beer that I drink now is mainly for a kind of foodie element. I love tasting different things, and I love reviewing the beer for you guys here on the channel, but unless I'm going to a brewery or a special beer bar or something like this, I very rarely drink beer actually outside of my reviews, to be honest, unless I see something that really just catches my eye. But this is a lovely, lovely beer, this one, so a big thumbs up to the guys at Odd Island Brewing for this one. I'll need to try their Citra beer that they have as well, Citravon or something it's called, because I'm sure if it's anything like this one, I think it will be pretty damn special. So with this beer then, it's one of these ones where it doesn't do anything particularly surprising, it's just well done. I think that's a good way to kind of to sort of describe what's going on in this beer. So immediately with this beer you can feel there's a nice smooth pale malty quality that just blankets the middle of your palate. I do suspect that my prediction of there being a little bit of Pilsner malt in here is true. There is just a little bit of that. You can feel the centre of your palate just drying out a little bit the further into the flavour that you go. There's a little bit of a sweet biscuity quality in the middle of the palate as well, and that's kind of brought out a little bit, but I think by what I'm thinking is Pilsner malt too. But yeah, it's a lovely beer, this one, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. The malt base is really quite nicely done. I mean, one of the things I would say about the session IPAs, I haven't reviewed all that many of them on the channel, but I remember a number of them having just this kind of quite chalky mouthfeel to them, which I wasn't all that keen on, but this one, you know, really is quite nice. I mean, the other Gothenburg session IPA that comes to mind is the one that Beerbibliotheek did for GBG, the GBG Beer Week, the Moment of Instant Clarity, or the Instant Moment of Clarity. It was called something like that, and it was really nice as well. This one, to me, reminds me a little bit of that beer actually, which is quite interesting. Yeah, it's it's really nicely done. I do suspect there is a little bit of Pilsner malt or something in here, and that suits this beer down to the ground. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there's a teeny bit of earthiness in there, but as you come further forward along the sides of the palate, you start to get that nice floral aromaticity out of the beer that you would associate with Simcoe. Simcoe does have a nice florally edge to it, and it just gives the beer a good little bit of bitterness there. If I had to give this beer an IBU rating, I think it's somewhere around the kind of 40 IBU mark, maybe 35, but I think it's more leaning towards the 40 side of things. There is a good little hit of bitterness to this one, which makes it nice, and it also suits that kind of crispness that you've got in the malt base as well. But round the front curve of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of a lighter sort of grassy feel to this one, and then behind the front curve of the tongue, you've got that nice oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters that come out of the beer. And for me, this one is straight up passion fruit. You know, when it's Simcoe Sessions, Simcoe's a passion fruit hop. Again, it's not something that's particularly surprising, but as I said, the main focus for me with this beer is just how well everything goes together. It's really nicely done. So if you like the Simcoe hop, if you like the Galaxy hop as well, you know, it could be good to go back to this beer and just take it in. The other hop that comes to mind actually is Ruwaka from New Zealand, which is another kind of passion fruit hop. Me being a chemistry graduate, I always like thinking about ingredients and stuff like that when it comes to beer brewing. So I know the hops by you know, what they taste like and stuff like that. That's one of the things I always enjoy about reviewing IPAs, because you can learn how these different things kind of piece together. But you know, it's just a really nicely done beer, this. So have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. A very easy drinker, this one. Not doing anything particularly surprising with the style, I would say, but just doing the style very well. So as I say, a big thumbs up to Odd Island Brewing then in this review. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this beer again. I want to try their Citra beer as well. If they can do this well with the Simcoe, you know, it'd be cool to see what they can do with the Citra. And of course, there's a whole range of other hops out there that they can play with as well. So I think it'll be exciting to keep an eye on this brewery in the future and just see what they do. Most of their beers, from what I could see, were pale ales and IPAs and stuff like this, so it'd be cool to see what they can do with some stouts and things like that in the future. So that's definitely another reason to keep an eye on this brewery for over the next little while. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would describe this beer as being on the bottom side of mid-bodied. The mouthfeel overall, it's got a good balance between being crisp and being wet. It's more of a crisp, kind of easy drinking beer, this one for me. Good little bit of wetness to it. Maybe there's a little touch of oiliness in there as well. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness, I think around the 40 IBU mark, as I mentioned earlier. And you've also got a nice balance of smoothness, but also just a little touch of sweetness in the malt base of this one, and some nice juicy fruity qualities to it as well. But overall, very solid session IPA, this one. Not doing anything surprising, but just doing what it does very solidly. And you can't really ask for much more than that from this beer. So yeah, another really solid first take on a new brewery that I've come across here in Sweden, which just speaks volumes for the quality of the craft beer scene over here, particularly in Gothenburg, of course. As I mentioned earlier, when I had my brain fart, you've got the likes of Odd Island, you've got Stigbergets, you've got Spike Brewery, Bearded Rabbit, OO Brewing. You know, there's a hell of a lot of very good breweries up in Gothenburg. Dugges and Bierbibliotek as well. You know, if you go up to that city, you are certainly you certainly have a hell of a lot of choice, and these guys do not look out of place with all that very strong competition that they've got. So long may it continue, and I certainly look forward to reviewing more beers from these guys in the near future. But let's leave it at that for this one. The Simcoe Session IPA at 4.9% from Odd Island Brewing in Lindome, now just to the south of Gothenburg on the west coast of Sweden. So until the next time, Slanger just now, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Odd Island Brewing as well, and I will definitely be returning to these guys in the fairly near future. Make sure you check out my social media and have a go at some of their beers. Until the next time, Slanger just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Slanger, Skull, Hail Satan. There you go.